Porto 360. Apoio Modal GR. Regent Corporation. Apoio institucional.
Olá, está no ar Porto 360, nosso espaço semanal para debater assuntos importantes em relação aos portos internacionais, portos do Brasil e principalmente em relação ao Porto de Santos. Esta semana não estamos nos estúdios da TV Tribuna em virtude da pandemia e eu estou remotamente com um executivo internacional, é isso mesmo, vou trazer um executivo internacional para bater um papo com a gente. Saga Chandra é diretor da REDE, uma das grandes empresas de conectividade no mundo e que atua no setor portuário. Sagar, first of all, thank you so much to be here with us. It's a big pleasure for me.
Thank you, Maxwell. Boa tarde to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Sagar, first of all, to start our conversation, all of the times I start with this way, I'm asked for my guests here in my TV show about your personal life, are you married? What school did you study? How you are, a big international executive, can you tell us the way, to be an international executive, in your view?
Okay, we will need a lot more time. But,
Maybe 4 hours?
Maybe, and a couple of drinks, but I'll give you a quick summary. I have lived in many countries around the world. I was born in India, lived in Africa, London, and then the USA. And, in my current role as a vice president of Regent for Americas, we started by focusing on Latin America. Brazil is one of the big countries with a lot of potential. I was brought in with the task of helping grow our business, explain who Regent is. And fortunately, we've been very successful. Today we have a lot more than 1,500 radios in Brazil. Wow. I'm trying to improve my Portuguese. But to be an executive, it just, you need to understand what customers want, what are the challenges. And we have been fortunate enough to have a solution that we can offer to customers in Brazil, mining, ports, of course, other industries.
We will talk about the technology industry, especially the port side, but at this beginning, I have to ask you, if the people, that are watching us now at this time, and they are thinking about, hey, look, I'm looking to be an international executive, what kind of a university they need to do, it's a business administration, it's a specific technical university, what's your suggestion, what's your tip for these people that are watching us now, Sagar?
So I can only speak from my experience.
Sure.
I have an engineering background, but then I also went for a business degree. But honestly, I think my suggestion for someone watching, and if they want to be an executive, is be able to listen
Yeah.
and then be able to explain what you can offer. So the first challenge is, of course, listening to your customer, to your colleagues, to your partners in different countries to understand, okay, there's an opportunity for us to work here or not. You can have an engineering degree, you can have a business degree, you could have an art degree, you can just be an art major, but the only way I think you can be a good leader is first by listening and then being able to say, okay, I hear you and this is what I can offer. So that'd be my suggestion. Doesn't matter the degree, it doesn't matter the language, doesn't matter, what country you are studying in.
Listen, it's a big lesson.
Listen, start with listening.
Yeah, especially because we have a lot of different culture, in the different countries, it's a big challenger when you are a big executive, isn't it?
It is a challenge with different cultures. For example, working with the partners and countries in Brazil, understanding the Brazilian culture versus, because I have to also work with other countries, understanding a little bit of the difference. It's not a challenge, it's fun, it's exciting. You know, I get to learn something new every time I'm in Sao Paulo or Recife or Rio de Janeiro or Santos, you know, where you and I met. There's always something new to learn. The challenge is just to make sure that, you know, when I speak to them, they understand what I'm saying. Eu falo portunhol, não falo português muito bom. And so I have to be extra cautious when I speak.
And you know that in Spanish and Portuguese, we have a big difference, you know. But Portugal is good, you know, we can understand and we can talk about business. Sagar, to start talking about the business, you know, you are an executive from a big technology company, you know. Can you explain for us what Regent does, you know, especially at the technology side?
Sure. So yes, Regent is we are a US-based company. This year is our 20th year, so it's a big year for us, big milestone. But we are focused primarily. We are only focused on wireless communication. So we're focused on providing communication to customers in any vertical when they want to connect and have access to data in real time, video in real time. We're not a Wi-Fi company. We're much more than a Wi-Fi company. Probably a lot of your customers, a lot of your audience listening to us right now, watching us, they're familiar with the Wi-Fi in their home, in an office. Take that traditional product and we're much more than that.
Sagar, especially at this time, you know, we are living a pandemic time, you know, we are here doing a interview, you know, using remotely tools, you know, and we depends of a connection, you know, and all of the ports, they are doing investments, especially at the technology side, like artificial intelligence, you know, machine learning, IoT, and the other things, you know, but connection, it's really important. First of all, in your view, you know, they have to get some concern about that. This is the first question, you know, and the second, can you compare the difference between normal connections that we can see and the mesh connection, you know, that it's industrial connection? Do you understand? Can you explain for us the difference between them?
Sure. And there's one point that you mentioned already, you know, IoT, the ports around the world, and especially in Brazil, they have been, even before the pandemic, they have been focusing on improving their communication and connectivity in the ports. You have RTGs, you have the stackers, reach stackers, other equipment, STS, ship-to-shore cranes, all this equipment. The ports have been trying to get better at staying in connection with them. With the pandemic, and of course, you touched on a very good point. Now there's even more of a need. You know, people are limited. It's important for a manager, a supervisor, a maintenance crew to sit in an office and be able to access information from all this equipment that's moving around in real time without having to go there. So the biggest difference is, Regent, as I mentioned earlier, we're more than Wi-Fi. I should clarify, we are a wireless mesh network provider. And what we do is we have a couple of features that allow all the equipment to work and connect and talk to each other. They act as repeaters, they act as clients. So going back to your second question, difference between Wi-Fi and what we do.
Yeah.
A simple Wi-Fi network that you have in your home that is in an airport, is in a hotel, that they have something called controllers, they have infrastructure. And we all, our laptop, your laptop, my iPhone, we're all clients. There's a clear separation. You know, clients work in a certain way with some rules, infrastructure work with different ways. In a Regent mesh network,
especially critical infrastructure.
Correct, critical, correct. In a Regent mesh network, every node, every unit that has a Regent radio acts the same way. They're a repeater, they're a client, they're an access point, they're everything. And that gives you, as an operator, port operator, a lot more flexibility and a lot more efficiency.
Do you see ports in Brazil that are using, normal connections to connect to huge equipments like STS, like RTG and the other ones? Did you get that?
Yes,
my.
in the past few years, I have a number of ports who have actually called me and said, hey, our existing Wi-Fi network is struggling. What do you offer?
And tell me, Sagar, we are talking about the difference between the normal connection and the mesh connection. Technically speaking, can you tell us the big difference between them? Like we have one point here, one point there, and how the information, goes around the network. Do you understand what I mean? Because the people have to understand the big difference, like a normal infrastructure and the critical infrastructure, because ports, it's a huge critical infrastructure.
Ports are huge, and ports have a lot of challenges. You have containers, these mountains of metal that sometimes are 4 levels high, sometimes 5, sometimes 6, and within a couple of hours, it can change. So I completely agree. So I'll try to be, simple in explaining how we work. The word mesh gets used a lot, and that can also cause confusion. Anyone can come and say, I offer a mesh network, but the question a port customer should ask is, will my RTG be able to talk to another RTG, another STS, another reach stacker, without having to go through an infrastructure point? So in a traditional Wi-Fi network, regardless of whoever sells it, every client has to talk to an infrastructure point, and then they can go back and talk to another client. It's like you and me are talking right now, but imagine that there's an infrastructure. I have to give all my messages to that person, and that person will then allow my message to come to you. I cannot talk with you directly. In a mesh, Regent mesh network, you, me, if we had 10 other people in this call, we can all talk amongst ourselves without having to always bring in a manager. So that's probably a good analogy. In a port, if you want an efficient communication, let every unit talk to every unit. That's the fastest way, and we enable that.
Sagar, can you tell us how many access points, we have to put at the terminal? We have a number, or depends of the project, depends of the infrastructure, depends of what? I know that the people, they are asking by themselves, how many access points, especially the technical people that we have in our audience, how many access points? This is the first point. You have to do a project, to cover all of the points, like a container points that we have a lot of difficulties to provide, Sino. This is the first question. And the second one, as we are talking about connection and a lot of equipments, how do you solve the roaming problem? You are here at this access point, but you have to move to the other access point. Do you understand what I mean?
It's a very, you obviously have been in ports, you understand the challenges there. So there is no simple answer to how many access points, how many infrastructure points. Every port is going to be a little bit different because they may have a TOS system, they may have an OCR system, they may want to send data and video and enable traditional Wi-Fi for their handheld device. But as a general guideline, definitely, the more technology a port wishes to use, we will need more access infrastructure points. Because part of the reason is containers are made of metal. There is no signal that will go through a metal. So what we need is a solution that is smart to say, okay, I cannot talk through the metal, so I'm going to go around the metal. So what happens is, some of the ports that, for example, we have in Panama, we have in Peru, we have in the US, we have anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 existing locations, fixed locations, infrastructure points. But the RTG, when it's working and there's a truck below it, the RTG will talk directly below to the truck. It doesn't have to talk with another infrastructure point. Or an RTG above the containers will talk to a second RTG, again, with a really clear view, no containers there. They will talk over the containers and then they will go down. That's what Regent Mesh offers, is when you're limited by connections, we will talk with every equipment that's available And then the question in terms of your, how many, that comes down to, do you need video with OCR and, your TOS system that's data? We have a customer in Panama who invested in Regent only to enable handheld devices. They have Motorola devices, they have Honeywell devices, they have lots of other products, and they couldn't just use the handheld Wi-Fi component. So they bought in Regent, and we are now able to enable Wi-Fi plus other things.
Sagar,
so it's a long answer to your question, but
sure, I know.
It depends.
I can tell you that it means $6 million questions or something like that, I know that you have a lot of experience, and I'm trying to get all of your experience to share with our big audience. And I have to do a question for you. I learned especially with international executives, around of the world, that first of all, you have to build the infrastructure. After that, you have to compose your process. And after that, at the end, you will buy your system. But I feel that here in Brazil, we buy systems and we don't have process and we don't have infrastructure. If Brazil port market are looking for automation, they have to think about infrastructure first, like connection. This is the right way to do automation, especially at the port side. Am I right?
Yes, I think you're absolutely correct that change like this and investment in technology will require processes to be updated, will require the port to look at things that are beyond technology. It's not just buying boxes and connecting it, and voila, you have everything working. So you're absolutely correct in that. And the good news is that because we have experience not only in South America, we have experience working with ports in Belgium, in Dubai, in the US, in Panama, in other parts of the world. We can work with the port and say, this is what we have seen as a challenge, as a risk. This is what you should do. And sometimes I have dialogues with ports, and they are not ready to buy today or tomorrow or in 2020, 2021. Sure. They are thinking 2 years down the road, but it's a good place to start. As you said, if a port is unsure, at least, they can talk with you. You have a lot of experience. They can talk with your partners, and they can say, okay, this is what we've seen in other areas. But absolutely, it's not just buying technology, turning on the powers on, and everything should work. No, there's a lot that goes behind in terms of planning.
Let me ask you something, that I'm thinking now. I told you that here in our port market, they are thinking about automation, and I said infrastructure, process, and after systems. But let's tell you that I am the manager, the IT manager of the terminal now, okay? And I like what you said, especially your solution. What is your approach with the terminal? You put someone to do a big project, like a site survey, and define all of the equipments that you have to put at the terminal. You have a local partner here in Brazil. What's your approach, to get your technology and put in our local market here in Brazil, as we have a lot of culture issues, and we have taxes or whatever. Do you understand what I mean? What's your approach to do that, especially to maintenance, and support too? I know that it's a big question, but it looks like a business model, and it's really important for IT people here.
That's very valid, and I have had the good fortune to have almost 6 years of experience working in Brazil. So Regent Corporation, we only work with local partners, and we train them, we certify them to make sure that they are able to provide a good service to our customer. So 6 years ago, and I'll just use this example to show what we're doing in port. 6 years ago, we started with one mining customer in Brazil, very big mining customer, and they were only interested in a very small project. So we had our process is first with any customer, we have to ask, what are you trying to do today? And what is your plan for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Because that allows me to offer you options in terms of what are the technical ways you can achieve this. Some port customers will say, look, I know only for the next 6 months, 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 3 years. No problem. We'll give you a way to be scalable. But from a process perspective, we have partners who are certified in Regent. We, like myself, I'm involved in the dialogue with the partner and the end user, with the port. And then finally, just recently, we have agreed to have a Regent employee in Brazil. We understand that even though we have, 1,500 radios in Brazil, we have partners who are certified. Sometimes the customer will say, I want to speak with Regent. I want to have a Regent engineer come to my port and do an analysis. So the process starts with dialogue, listening to what the customer wants. What's your objective? What's your challenge? Then we give them a preliminary design option. We have to be on site. You hit on the word site survey, site visit.
Of course.
Fundamental. I agree with you 100%. And the good news is now our authorized partner can do this, but soon a Regent employee, a Regent engineer will be able to go with our partner and go to the port and say, great, let's work together to figure out what's the best way to do this. Once we do the site survey, then we can review and revise the design options. And then the port chooses, I like option A, option B, and we go into the project execution mode.
Yeah, this is the best way. We have to find a solution, especially when you work with the technology, you have a lot of options. We are in 2021, we are a technology world, and options, you have billions of them on the table. Sagar, I was thinking again, and can you tell us what is your plan, with the Brazilian port market? If I can ask you, what's your plan for this year and for 5 years from now? You are looking, your company is looking to invest in our country.
Absolutely. And we see, for the past 6 years, we've seen a lot of potential in Brazil. As I said, in Mineração, I think if I pronounce it correctly, we are very strong. We are established.
You are Brazilian.
Port industry is equally very important in Brazil. Railroad industry is important in Brazil for us, for Regent. So for us to be based in the USA, there is some limitations that we have because we're not in Brazil. So our investment in the country is to have a Regent employee in country. We hope to have a repair center in country through our partners.
That's really important.
We hope to extend the network of partners that Regent has. So a lot of times, as you know, Maxwell, your port customer will say, I want to have options, not on the technical solution, but I want to choose with which company I want to do business with, who's certified to come to the port and even put a cable, put a bolt, put a radio. So we're all about providing and educating our port customers. Hey, if you want to do a small project, a large project, we can be, we have a solution for you. So in terms of investment, sorry to interrupt you. In terms of investment, we'll have a Regent employee in country and extending the network of Regent partners.
Sagar, most important than sales is after sales, isn't it?
Continuing the relationship, yes, and more sales.
Okay, I can see that this is the American culture, especially Europe culture, always they are looking for after sales, they are not looking just for sales, sell boxes and good luck for you, customers. No, it's not true, the American market and especially Europe market, they have a lot of concerns, to protect the after sales. Am I right?
You're right, and I would like to use a different word. I think that the after sales is more about relationships. I am not happy just to win a new customer, get the purchase order, ship the radios and say, ate logo, right? I'm not happy to be like that. I want to be involved in their regular challenges in the regular projects. And so, a lot of times what happens is, yes, you're absolutely right. We have the customers that we currently have in Brazil, they started with a very small project. And then when they realize, oh, Regent is a very good, very scalable network solution, I can plug multiple technologies into the same network, and I don't have to worry about, calling someone, writing some special code. It's plug and play. Then it becomes very easy for me to maintain that relationship. Sales will come, but it's important that I can talk to the customer and say, do you want to add an OCR now? No problem. You can do it. You want to add 15, 20, 30 more handheld devices? No problem. So I would just like to change. Sales comes from it, but I think it's more about relationship and continued dialogue with an existing partner, existing customer.
Yeah, you are right. We are going to the end of our TV show, but I'm looking to invite you to be here again to share your experience with our big audience that we have. Let me ask you something. Can you share with us, one case port show that you have in the world using your technology, to share with our audience, as I said before?
Absolutely. We have, and actually a lot of our customers and case studies is on youtube.com. So I can't run it right now, but we have a customer called Norfolk Southern that has made an amazing video on YouTube that shows their investment in technology. So they invested in a TOS system, OCR, they had Wi-Fi, they had a lot of different technologies to improve the efficiency and the safety of their operators and their people. And we, Regent, were the backbone. We were the wireless mesh network that allowed them to use all this technology. So that is one. Also on our website, regent.com, there's case studies that we, for example, we have with a port in Dubai where they wanted to do full automation. You mentioned automation, earlier. Automation requires a lot more reliable wireless communication. You can't have a few seconds of loss of data or connection, because then automation systems will say, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to work because I don't know where I'm going. So it's very, very important. So we have a port in Dubai. We have a port in the US. And for references, there are ports in Peru, outside of the international airport, Lima International Airport in Callao. We also have a new port in Panama. So a long answer, we have a number of use cases. I'll be happy to share with you the YouTube link. And if you have time, maybe you can put it up here.
Sure, we will.
Regent.com, or call Maxwell. Maxwell has all the answers. That's my suggestion to your audience.
Yeah, this is the big problem that I have today, as I'm doing a lot of interview with, good executives, and famous executives too. The people believe that I have all of the answers, but I don't have. I just do questions, like I'm doing now, I'm asking specialists like Sagar. Sagar, thank you so much to be here with us. It's a big pleasure. I hope I can see you soon here in Santos, and we can do a interview in a live, face by face, because it's really different, and we can show our TV for you too, and our market to hope this pandemic time can leave us as soon as we can, my friend.
Maxwell, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and this opportunity to talk with your audience. I look forward to meeting you and enjoying some in a churrascaria or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, it will be good, my friend. It will be good. Thank you so much to be here with us.
Thank you, Maxwell.
Como você pode perceber, não só executivos do Brasil, mas executivos internacionais fazem parte do Porto 360, compartilhando principalmente conhecimento com vocês. Eu vou ficando por aqui, movimentando muito mais do que informação. Um forte abraço e até semana que vem.
Porto 360. Apoio Modal GR. Regent Corporation. Apoio institucional.